everybody, and welcome to episode number 10 of News of the Week on the Seahawks Recap Show. How are we all feeling after week 5? Because I know I'm feeling as a Seahawks fan. I'm feeling great because we didn't have to play in week 5. We got on a bye week, and it was nice. It was honestly really nice. I set out a video on Monday for the Seahawk Week 5 bye week show. If you would like to go and see that, it is on my channel in Seahawk Game Recap playlist. It was just me talking about the Seahawks and what I've liked so far and who I've enjoyed watching on the Seahawks so far through the first 4 games. But anyways, welcome to the episode. It's already 10 episodes in to this News of the Week's season, and I'm very excited about that. Man, this season and this week in particular, week 5, I was looking at things to talk about for this week, and all I was seeing was injuries all over the place. Before we get to all the injury report stuff of week 5, let's recap the week 5 scores. We started off with the Commanders versus the Bears on Thursday Night Football. 40-20, Bears finally get on the board, winning their first game. And good for them, man. 40-20. Who knew throwing to DJ Moore would be a good recipe for success for Justin Fields? We get to the Bills and Jags in London. 25-20. Jags win in London. And honestly, like I said last week, the Jags, I know they've got Jacksonville, I know, but we need to have a team in London. Honestly, I think if the NFL put a team in London, if a team relocated, I don't know which team this would be, it would be awesome because I really like these London games. I don't watch most of them because it's early in the morning, but when I always look at the London games, it always seems to be a spectacle. They have a lot of support in London for football in general, so it would just be really nice to see a London team be present in the next couple of years. But that's only my 2 cents. But good job on the Jags for winning that game out. We get to the Patriots versus Saints. 34-0. Saints win that one. And Bill Belichick and the Patriots organization, you guys are going to have to make some tough decisions this year. One of the tough decisions is Bill Belichick past his expiration date on this team? I know you're probably going to turn off the video now, but let me explain. Ever since like this entire week, after this game in particular, I was seeing NFL media rip into Bill Belichick and go, "Oh, well, is he a good enough coach to still coach in the NFL?" Well, let's be honest. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, but coaches do have an expiry date. You can still be the best coach ever to coach the sport, but you can't stay in the sport forever if you're not willing to evolve and adapt. And right now, after losing Tom Brady that 2021 season, you guys have not looked great. So maybe it's time for a new set of eyes. I don't know. I don't want that to happen really because I honestly do have a lot of respect for Bill Belichick as a Seahawks fan. Next up is the Colts versus Titans. 23-16. Colts win that one out. And good to see from the Colts. Honestly, I'm rooting for the Colts because they are a very young team. They have nobody on their roster, if I'm remembering correctly, that is over the age of 30. So they are very young and they're inexperienced. It's nice to see that team succeed. We get to one of the most disappointing and confusing games I think I've seen in a while. It's the Steelers versus Ravens. 17-10. The Ravens were winning this game 10-0. The Steelers come back and win it. And it shows that the new look Ravens offense, only scoring 10 points on your opponent. Like, I know it's the Steelers defense. I know the Steelers defense is pretty darn good, but your offense to seal the game, Lamar Jackson threw a pick right to Joey Porter. Like right to him. Joey Porter wrestled his guy, beat the wide receiver, and caught the pick. And it just shows that this new look offense that the Ravens were boasting about with Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers, it's not working. You guys need to go back to the drawing board and figure out why it isn't working because this was a really bad showing from you guys. It's the Lions versus the Panthers. It's another win. They're now 4-1. The Lions winning 42-24 against the Panthers. And now they've secured the NFC North. Right now, they're 4-1. The next closest opponent is the 2-3 Packers. So good for them. I'm rooting for the Lions because I want to see not only someone new in the NFC North take that playoff spot, but honestly, the Lions can go places, man. I think they'll try to have a deep playoff run. On the other side, you've got the Panthers. Panthers, remember when you traded up for Bryce Young this last draft, this previous draft? Well, you didn't only just give up DJ Moore, but did you forget that you gave up your first round pick? You guys need to figure out why you're losing this bad. I know you're a young team, but now is not the time to implode. The Bears now have number 1 and number 2 in the draft in terms of picks this year. You guys have no help coming in the draft in terms of first round draft picks. So you need to course correct, because if you don't, you're going to end up with no first round pick, and that top maybe 5 selection is going to go to Bears. So you guys need to figure out that right quick. We get on to the Falcons and Texans, 21-19. I actually saw this game. I was watching this game on Thanksgiving weekend for the Canadians out there, and this was a very good game. Falcons deserved this win. They put up a hell of a fight. Texans did everything they could. Their defense just kind of crumbled on that final drive. CJ Stroud, man, he did all you could ask him to do. He got his team into scoring range. He then scored a touchdown to tie up the game. It was just a little bit shaky on the defensive side, but you guys are still a young team, and you can still potentially go after the AFC South. Dolphins versus Giants, 31-16. Dolphins win that one out. Nice bounce back, guys. Nice bounce back against the Bills after you got destroyed. I know it's the Giants, but good bounce back, guys. You still have one of the best offenses in the league right now. It's nice to see you guys not crumble into dust after just one loss. Let's talk about the Giants. What's going on with you? Because last season you did half decent. You did all right. But this season, I don't know what's happened to you guys, but your offensive line is not protecting your quarterback. Daniel Jones has no time at all to throw the ball. So he's now getting a little bit of pummeling behind your line, and your defense doesn't seem as good as it once was. I don't know if this is just a throw it in the bin year and see what you can get out of it next year, but it sure looks that way right now for you guys. Cardinals versus Bengals, 34-20. Bengals win. Finally, we get to see the old Joe Burrow come back. Good for Joe Burrow. I know it's against the Cardinals. I understand. It's nice to see the Bengals finally getting on the board and finally having their offense do something. There's no way you can keep that offense dormant for long, and now we'll see if the Bengals can gather some momentum. Hopefully they lose in week 6 to my Seahawks, but then in week 7 they come back and they start kicking butt again, because this was a nice showing to see that Joe Burrow could potentially be back. Cardinals, good try. Honestly, again, you guys are doing what you're doing. You're still hungry for wins, but this year is a rebuilding year for you guys, so keep on going. We get to the next game on the list, and it's the Rams versus Eagles, 23-14. Eagles are still undefeated, 5-0 on the season. It is the Eagles and the 49ers still undefeated, the only two teams that are undefeated in the season. Nice to see. Good try from the Rams. You got back Cooper Kupp playing his season debut, and you lost to a very, very good team in the Eagles. The Broncos versus Jets was a highly anticipated game for both sides. This is the revenge game. This is where Nathaniel Hackett went to after he got promptly fired from the Broncos. And Sean Payton, where are your comments now, bud? 31-21, Jets win over the Broncos. Remember, Peyton, when you said that this was one of the worst coaching jobs in the NFL? Well, you just got beaten by your ex-head coach. So what does that make of you? Because I know that everybody in the NFL world, including the analysts, are saying you look like a clown right now. If you're going to talk smack, man, you better back it up. Good for the Jets. You could tell by CJ Uzomah, the tight end, one of the tight ends for the Jets. He wanted this win. This was a very personal win for the entire organization. He said, I'm not going to quote him here because he said a lot of swear words in it, and I want to try to keep this as PG. as I possibly can, but he was like basically saying this is for Nathaniel Hackett. Someone talk smack about our guys, we're gonna make them regret it. And they showed up today and really let the Broncos know who's in charge here. We get to the Vikings versus Chiefs. 27-20, Chiefs win. Another one-score game. Good to see from the Chiefs, still winning, even though they're not dominating their opponents like they have in previous years. They're at least still getting those wins. For the Vikings, last season you guys were a playoff team. You guys went 11-0 on wins from one-score games, and now it seems like that magic has run out in this season, and you're not winning as many games as you probably should. But now what do you do? Trade deadline is fast approaching. You got 3 more weeks. Do you trade Kirk Cousins and look towards the future, or do you stick with it and potentially lose more games? It'll be a very fascinating next couple weeks to see what these kind of teams do on the fringes. Next up, we get to a team that is not on the fringes. It's the 49ers versus Cowboys. 42-10. 49ers win. Man, the 49ers just punched their ticket right now. Punch their ticket right now to the NFC Championship game with the Seahawks, please. They just look unstoppable. I've said this for the past 5 weeks. Brock Purdy is doing exceptionally well. He's won 8 of his last starts. He's never lost a game that he's started from start to finish. So good on him. And I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, well, he's a product of Kyle Shanahan's system in the media. Well, I don't really care because he's putting in the work. He's doing the work to have that 8-0 record. So let him be proud of that. We get to the final game on the list. It's the Raiders versus Packers. 17-13. Raiders win on Monday Night Football. Jordan Love did not look good in this game at all, throwing 3 picks. Man, what do you do, Packers? Because you've got a guy that's got 3 years of experience in Jordan Love, but he's only had 6 starts in his career. I think this is the start of your rebuild. I think this is a time where you guys need to face the harsh reality that Aaron Rodgers isn't your quarterback anymore and can't bail you out of certain situations. I think your Super Bowl window and chances to make the playoffs are kind of closing with every season you play. And I think this is time now to try and maybe go back into a rebuild and try to not retool on the fly. For the Raiders, it's a nice win for you guys. It was 36 years since you last beat the Packers. So good win from you guys. Nice to see. Anyone who had a week 5 bye, that was the Seahawks, Chargers, Browns, and Bucks, who had all week 5 byes. That's 4 teams. And now they have to get back to work because they have no more bye week for the rest of the season. There's a lot of injuries, so it's always nice to have an early bye week to try to comb through that kind of stuff. We get to the first guy on the list, and this is a big one for the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, placed on IR October 10th with a hamstring injury. He will miss 4 games. Then we get a very unpleasant injury. I hate this, and I've already discussed why I hate this because he's a rookie. I discussed it last week, but Anthony Richardson is placed on IR October 11th. Shoulder injury. It's unclear whether he'll return for his timeline, but he'll miss a minimum of 4 games. And we get to the next guy on the list. It is Lions corner Emmanuel Mosley. He was placed on IR October 10th. He tore his ACL and he's out for the season. This guy just can't catch a break. 27 years old, and for the last 2 seasons, he's been out with ACL injury. Tore his left ACL this time, but when he was with the 49ers last season, he tore his right ACL in his final year with the 49ers. Next guy on the list is Matt Milano, outside linebacker, placed on IR October 10th. He broke his leg and has a knee injury. He will be out indefinitely, and he will have to have surgery on both his knee and his broken leg. Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, did not specify whether he believes Matt Milano's injury is season ending. We get into the next guy on the list, and it's running back James Conner, placed on IR October 11th. With a knee injury, he will miss the next 4 games. And if you know me for a while, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I like running backs. This really sucks because you see a lot of running backs have knee injuries, especially this year. There's been a lot of running backs that have been placed on IR with exact knee injuries. I hope he gets better. Cowboys, Leighton Vander Esch, middle linebacker. A middle linebacker that I think is slightly underrated. Honestly, I don't hear people talking about him as much, but he's a solid middle linebacker in my opinion. He was placed on IR October 10th, and he has a neck injury. So Mike McCarthy has said that he will miss 4 to 6 games. I hope he comes back stronger in those next 4 to 6 games. We get to the Dolphins, and this, again, really sucks because it's one of my favorite positions, and it's another rookie. Devon Achane, running back, placed on IR October 11th with the knee injury. He will miss the next 4 games, and I hope that's all he misses because honestly, I really like him and he's shown that maybe in the future he can be the Dolphins' first running back when Raheem Mostert decides to move on. So I wish him all the best in his recovery. And we get to the final man on this list. It's Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive tackle, placed on IR October 10th with a torn Achilles, out for the season. How many times am I going to have to say that? Torn Achilles, torn ACL. Change the turf. It's not that hard. Oh, but we'll have to spend money. I don't care. The amount of money you will spend on changing and maintaining the grass fields, the natural grass fields, will be well worth it because your star players will be able to play without having to worry about tearing their Achilles or ACLs on turf fields. Get rid of them. They're not helpful. They're detrimental to the sport itself. I don't want to have to go through this every single time and going, oh, this guy's out with injury. This guy's out with injury. Guess what? They tore the ACLs because of artificial fields. I'm done talking about it, honestly. I wish everybody on this list a speedy recovery, and I hope they come back stronger, whether they're missing only 4 games of the season or they're out for the season. I wish them all the best and a speedy recovery. Next, we get to the Jonathan Taylor extension. Finally, okay? I have spoken about this in News of the Week, episode number 3, all the way back when Jonathan Taylor wanted a new contract, and he finally, after months of deliberation, they have finally struck a deal with the Colts. And let's talk about his stats again, because it's been a while. So, 2020, his rookie season, he played 15 games, had 232 attempts, had 1,169 yards, had 5 yards per carry, and 11 touchdowns, had 36 receptions, 299 yards, averaged 8.3 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. His contract, ELC, his entry level contract, was $7.829 million for 4 years. He signed that in 2020 to 2024. And in 2021, he had his best season of his career with 17 games played, 332 attempts, 1,811 yards, averaged 5.4 yards per carry, had 18 touchdowns, had 40 receptions, 360 yards, averaged 9 yards per reception, and 2 touchdowns. After months of animosity, Colts owner Jim Irsay, GM Chris Baylor, executive Mike Bloom, and Taylor's representatives Mikhail Kawan and Ethan Locke finally come together and successfully negotiate a contract extension for Adam Schefter. That's great. I like Jonathan Taylor. I think this is the right move for Jim Irsay because you have a younger team. What happens when you have a young team and a young quarterback, especially? Take the pressure off of that young quarterback so that he doesn't have to throw 50 balls a game, and you can now use the running game. Now you have a tandem of Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, who's been lighting the world up a little bit, having a nice little season put together. It's nice to see him get the money he's actually worth in Jonathan Taylor, and it's nice to see that Jim Irsay is making the right call here. We get to 2022. He had 11 games played, 192 attempts, 861 yards, averaged 4.5 yards per carry, had 4 touchdowns, had 20 receptions for 143 yards, averaged 5.1 yards per reception, and 0 touchdowns. Taylor becomes the first running back to land a long-term deal worth $10 million or more per year since Nick Chubb in 2021, almost 800 days ago. That is insane. And that is why I like running backs, because the whole NFL right now's mantra is all running backs. We don't need them. We don't like paying them because we like running them through, having them carry the team for years and then not give them the pay that they deserve for running the ball because their careers may not last as long because we put them through the ringer by giving them 200 to 150 carries a season. Well, it's nice to see that Jonathan Taylor is getting the money he deserves, and I hope that this deal is not a one-off because I really like this contract. Let's get to the stats of 2023 and then let's discuss the contract. So he's played one game, had 6 attempts in that game, 18 yards for 3 yards averaged, 0 touchdowns, had 1 reception, 16 yards, averaged 16 yards per reception, and 0 touchdowns. That's fine. It was his first game against the Rams back, so he had a little bit of load management so that he could get back into the feel of things. But his new contract, Jonathan Taylor signs a $42 million contract for 3 years. 26.5 million of that is guaranteed. Okay, I really like this contract because it makes sure that Jonathan Taylor is getting the money he deserves, and it's making sure that the owners aren't getting handcuffed. Because remember, Jonathan Taylor is 24, 25, 26, 27. So they have the next couple of years to decide and reassess. At 27, that contract will be up, and then they can reassess whether they want to sign him to another short-term, long-term deal, or if they want to let him walk. That is nice. I want to see more deals like that. And for the final thing I wanted to talk about on this News of the Week episode, it's Van Jefferson to the Falcons. My thoughts on this trade details. So the Rams get a 2025 6th-round pick. Falcons get, obviously, Van Jefferson and a 2025 7th-round pick. Honestly, I really like this trade for the Atlanta Falcons because you're getting Van Jefferson, who is in all likelihood going to be your second-string wide receiver. This is another weapon for Desmond Ridder to utilize, and I think a fresh start for Van Jefferson is a very good thing. I understand that Falcons fans, especially in Instagram, were commenting on this trading, going, "Oh, well, he's not going to be used in Atlanta. He's wasting his time being traded to Atlanta." Well, honestly, he wasn't being used on the Rams. He was the third receiver in their Super Bowl run to putting up the best numbers of his career. And now in this season, he really didn't have a role. He really didn't have a spot on that depth chart because Puka Nacua came out of nowhere and Tutu Atwell is coming into his own. So he was the odd man out. So having the Rams get at least a 6th for him and then having the Falcons get potentially their number 2 wide receiver along with now Drake London and then Van Jefferson and then Mikael Hollins and then Kyle Pitts. That's a good four piece wide receiver group that you could use for Desmond Ridder. So it's nice to see. And hopefully this will get Desmond Ridder to actually throw the ball more to his wide receivers. It's nice to see him getting a fresh start so he could potentially return to his 2022 form, where he put up 50 catches, 802 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I can't wait to see what he does in the Falcons uniform because I think he really never had a shot to show his potential just because of how buried he was under that depth chart. And for the Rams, at least they got something out of him. Getting something out of your players, like it's always magic beans when you get into those later rounds. So hopefully they can pick up a guy that might work out for them. Anyways, this has been Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and this has been News of the Week, episode number 10. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching as always. It really means the world to me. I've been doing this for 3 months. I've been doing this since August, and I already have like almost 600 views on the channel in total out of 24 videos. So thank you very much for watching it. It really helps out because I never knew how this would go. So to see that kind of progress and viewership is really nice. So I really appreciate it. But anyways, that has been the Seahawks recap show. And don't forget to come back on Monday as I will have the Seahawks versus Bengals game, or well, I should say Bengals versus Seahawks game for you on the channel in the Seahawks game recap playlist. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you hopefully back on Monday. This is Ryan Koki of the Seahawks recap show signing off. Go Hawks, go.